Are you co-parenting your child and frustrated with your defiant ex? Would you like more peace and harmony with your ex?
Today we're going to teach you the 5 damaging mistakes to avoid and show you how to co-parent in a healthy way. We'd like to welcome you all to I Have a Voice, and we're going to teach you today the mistakes to avoid in co-parenting. But before we get into that, what is co-parenting and what we're talking about today? Well, co-parenting is when a child is raised in 2 different households due to the primary caretakers living apart. It's usually because of divorce or separation, yet there are other circumstances. But we are focusing on the most common co-parenting situation, which is a husband and a wife who are living apart and raising a child or children.
Yes.
So let's jump right into it. Co-parenting damaging mistake number 1, holding on to resentments towards your ex.
It's not a good thing.
You know, when you're holding on the resentments towards your ex, you create an atmosphere of an emotional pain in the room.
Yeah,
And kids are what? Like sponges.
exactly.
And they're going to absorb whatever the atmosphere is, regardless of whether it's spoken or unspoken.
Exactly.
You need to deal with the issues of your heart.
Yeah.
You need to clear your heart so that your children who are picking up on the state of your heart can play off of that, huh?
Yes, definitely. Because one of the things that obviously you're going to have resentment. It didn't work out the way you wanted it to. Things happen. It wasn't the dream. And now you're left with this unfortunate situation where you're living apart. Your children are going back and forth. So yes, it's very painful, very painful. However, it has to be dealt with, because if you don't, then they carry the pain that you're feeling.
Yeah.
And when they're carrying that pain, they're little. They don't know what to do. They don't know how to manage that type of pain. I mean, as an adult, you don't know how to manage it, much less a child doesn't know how to manage
And
it.
the unique thing about kids is that when they're feeling pain in the room, they begin to make messages that it's about them.
Exactly.
So how do you resolve the issues of your heart? You need to practice forgiveness. Look, we can take for granted you've been hurt, because if you wasn't, you wouldn't be divorced.
Exactly.
So how do you do that? You acknowledge the hurts that have happened in your life with your ex, and you lay down on the altar all of the hurt, all of the anger, all of the sadness, all of the losses, and you need to intentionally do that and ask for grace of forgiveness.
Yes. And, go to therapy, do self-help, do what you got to do. But forgiveness does not mean that you just accept and pretend it never happened. Forgiveness is a process. We have videos on that, but it's something you must do for the children's sake.
Yeah, if you can't do it for yourself,
Right.
do it for the kids.
It's necessary.
Yeah. Co-parenting damaging mistake number 2, parenting from a place of guilt.
Yeah, if you parent from guilt, then you're going to give in. You're not going to have great limits with your children, and you're going to enable them. So it's like they're crying about their dad, that their dad's not coming home today and they miss him. Okay, don't go give them ice cream. That's the worst thing you can do. You're setting up for them that every time they're in pain to go eat ice cream and sugar. That just sedates it. It's okay for you to be sad. I'm sorry that you're sad. And then you go and you feel guilty and you realize, okay, I didn't get married just to get a divorce. That wasn't what I did. I did my best where I made my mistakes, but this guilt cannot overwhelm you where you give in and you give in and you give in to your children, because buying them or sedating them with sugar, candy, or whatever is not going to work. They're just going to expect that from everybody else.
Yeah, it's reasonable to have some guilt, because it's important to take on responsibility for your part in how the relationship didn't work.
Exactly.
But it's also important to begin to let it go and to be aware of it and to not make choices towards your children from a place of guilt.
Exactly.
Because you won't be setting the proper limits, and that will be a disservice to them.
Yeah, and their future relationships.
Yes.
Because when they're in pain, they're going to want somebody to move the limit, give in to them, and enable them and fix it. Yeah. And that's not going to work.
And getting back to the topic of forgiveness, one of the ways you actually let go of guilt is through self-forgiveness.
Yes.
Like acknowledging the mistakes. Look, we all make mistakes. We all do things that we regret.
Yes.
And so it's okay, but you need to be able to become at peace with the choices you've made and to let it go. Take responsibility, make the changes you have to make, but it's okay to let go of the guilt.
Yeah, you gotta let go of the guilt.
Let's get to the third mistake, negotiating from a place of win-lose attitude with your ex. If you're angry, still resentful, you have this unresolved hurt, it often leads to negotiating about the children and wanting to win and for them to what?
Lose.
To lose.
But the only person that loses is the child.
Is the child.
Yeah, it has to be a win-win for the child. That's it. The win-win. Everything has to be about the child now. In your marriage, everything is about you and your spouse. We put us first and we meet the children's needs, right? And then when you get a divorce, no more. It's about we have to meet the children's needs.
Yeah.
So it becomes a flip-flop. You know, you get them 7 days, I get them 7 days. You get them this Christmas, I get them next Christmas. You get them this Thanksgiving, I get them next Thanksgiving. It's like that all has to be negotiated, and it can't be, well, you're not going to have them this Christmas because I didn't like what you did on Thanksgiving. Well, that ain't how it works.
No.
It's got to be a win-win for the child.
Yeah, so the question you need to ask is, what is the best thing for the child?
What is the best thing for the child?
Not the best thing for you.
No, that's over.
What is the best thing for the child? And make your decisions from that in terms of, especially in the negotiating things, you know, that often occurs around, can they stay at your house an extra night so they can go to this school activity that's very important to them? No, I want them at my house and they have to miss the school activity. Well, that's inappropriate. It's like you're hurt and you need to hear, it's like, I need to grow up. I need to grow up and stop fighting with this other person that I'm no longer married to. And I need to make the child the priority.
Right.
Well, if this video is helpful to you, I would like for you to like and subscribe to our channel and to this video. And also, we have a whole playlist on parenting, so check that out and it'll be real helpful. Let's get into the co-parenting damaging mistake number 4. It is to talk about your ex's weakness in front of the children.
Okay.
You don't do that to me, huh?
No, I don't do that to nobody.
Yes, that's so good.
I'm not saying that he doesn't have weaknesses, just like I have them.
Look,
but
we all have weaknesses.
Right.
And we're talking about when we get into a separated divorce situation and we have tension, the thing that our mind does is that we amplify the weakness of the partner. They were a little stubborn. Now they're the most stubborn person on the earth, right?
Yes.
Right? They used to spend a little money too much. Oh, they're so financially irresponsible. They're on the brink of bankrupt. You know, I mean, it's just whatever their weakness is. And oftentimes we do that to justify why we do what we do, and we amplify their weakness. It's totally inappropriate to talk about the weakness of your ex in front of the children, even if it's absolutely true. Right?
Yes. And it might be true.
It probably is true.
Right, it probably is true.
But it's not okay to do, to throw them under the bus in front of your children.
Because your children are half them. And what they do is they take on that weakness and then they see themselves like that because they want to identify with the other parent just like they want to identify with you. So if both parents are bashing the other parent in front of the child has no self-esteem. It's like, I'm stubborn, I'm no good, I'm a loser, I am not friendly, I'm angry, I'm not. They take on everything that you said about the other one, and then they're going to fight you and try to protect the other parent.
Yeah.
So now they're fighting both parents to protect the other parent, and it becomes a nightmare.
Yeah, it's going to cause the child really to withdraw from you and to withhold information from you for a very important part of their life, which is with your ex or with their other parent, caretaker. So really honor and respect them. Look, you want them to tell you about what's happening in the other household.
Yes.
And they'll do that if you become a good listener and you don't keep throwing the other person. You may think in your mind, what the heck is he doing? Or why is she doing that? And you may think that, but you got to hold it back. You can't. You can't say, that's crazy, isn't it, sweetie? No. You can talk about with your ex later about the situation, but not in front of the children.
Explain to me what just happened, because the way she said it, I don't know about that.
Yeah,
you know,
really
you don't just go in, I'm gonna get you.
That's why I divorced you. Right? No, you can't go there.
No.
Look, what you need to do is you need to encourage.
Yes.
Listen to me. You need to encourage. You need to build up and honor your ex.
There's good qualities there because you married him.
Or at the very least,
Stay silent.
stay silent.
Stay silent.
Yes.
With your child. We're talking about with your child.
In front of your child. Yeah,
Yes.
you can get your best friend and
Do what you gotta do.
debrief and
Get your therapist, whatever you got to do, your
hit a
life
punching
coach,
bag, whatever you got to do.
whatever you got to do.
Yeah. Well, let's get to co-parenting damaging mistake number 5 is placing the blame on your ex and not taking responsibility for your part or your choice.
And you don't do that with your child. You do that with your own self, with your clergy, with your group, whoever you're going to use to bounce things off, because you need to know where you missed the mark, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, we all miss it. Everybody does. Because you don't want to repeat it.
Right. It's important, so important to take responsibility
Yes.
for your part. You know, if HollyKem cursed at me 3 times, I cursed back at her 1. In my own mind, I owe her 2 curses, right?
That's right.
But the fact is, it was wrong for me to curse you.
Right.
It's your job to deal with your 3.
That's right.
But it's my job to deal with what I did.
That's
and take
right.
responsibility. Look, you chose him or her
That's right.
to have a child with, and you chose
Yeah.
to have sex with that person.
Yeah.
And it's your responsibility to take full responsibility for your choice. We used to do prison ministry. I used to go there as a chaplain. And it was interesting. The prisoners that really took responsibility for the offenses they
Right.
committed were very compliant, were the ones
Right.
that actually got out early.
Right.
They were compliant with the process. They took responsibility. They acknowledged their wrongs. The ones that were very defiant and rebellious were the ones that said it was the policeman's fault.
Yeah.
It was their fault. I really didn't do this, the system and this. And they putting all the blame on the system, and they're not taking responsibility for their own behaviors.
All right.
Now, I'm not saying that every person that's in prison was
Right.
justly put there, because
Right.
there's exceptions to that. But I am saying is that there's a huge difference in the level of responsibility that they take. And it's the same with parenting. Look, you chose to do what you did and to
Right.
take on this other person.
Right.
And so you need to take full responsibility of that. And when you do, it changes your attitude.
Yes.
It changes the hardships of co-parenting. It's like,
Yes.
I'm responsible for this, and the difficulty of needing to deal with 2 households and dealing with this other person and dealing with the financial struggles and all this stuff.
Right.
I'm fully responsible for this. And when you do that, then there's a level of acceptance, and it decreases animosity significantly. So we say, man up or woman up.
Man up.
Take full responsibility for your choice with your ex
Yep.
and your children.
That's right.
And things will be a lot smoother.
Yes, they will.
We also have a resource. We want to help you resolve your anger, your resentment, and to move on to a place of peace, forgiveness. And this is just a bonus tip. We have a resource, our book. It's called A Roadmap to the Soul. And it's actually a journey to help you let go of
Yeah.
anger, resentment, past, and then also move into the future with peace and forgiveness. In the description below, there's links to get the book. You can get an electronic copy or hard copy, and
Right.
encourage you to consider doing that if you need to let go of anger and resentment and become a better co-parent.
It works. I grew up with divorced parents, and I ended up divorced. We didn't have a child, but he had a child from his previous marriage, and now I'm married 31 years. So
It works.
it works.
And you worked it. You've done really well. And the big question about breakup is to forgive or not to forgive. We want you to live in peace and wholeness and to embrace forgiveness. We have a whole video on walking you through that and understanding the importance of forgiveness. So click that video on the screen right now and watch that, and we will
See you in the next video.